Hello everyone, Professor Toybox here, and I'm back in my Land of the Dead toy box, along with Randy, who I just realized kind of looks like one of the Alabres from the Coco movie. How about that? Today we're going to add the side quest for the townsperson who's fading away. My inspiration for this side quest was Chicharron, one of Hector's friends in the Land of the Dead, who becomes forgotten and fades away. It's such a poignant moment in the movie because it illustrates the one thing that the inhabitants of that world have to fear and the purpose of the Mexican Day of the Dead holiday that inspired the movie. So I really wanted to create a side quest for this because I think it helps this toy box world feel even more like the Coco movie. So the first thing we're going to need to do is set up our mission giver. And for that, we're going to come in and grab this locator. And I'm going to put it down right here. And I set up this little balcony area just to get the little guy out of the way. Make sure I turn that around. It's important that that dot faces this way because that's the direction his feet are going to face as he's laying down. But I wanted this out over the way over here so the player could walk through here if they didn't want to do this side quest. And they could walk by him without triggering him because we're going to hook up a dynamic trigger to this in a moment. And the balcony here also helps hide the creativitoys that we're going to use to set this little mission giver up. So, first thing we're going to need is the friend generator. We're going to put him down dynamically. And I'll just stick that right there. And we'll open the logic menu and come into the properties. And for the behavior, I'm going to set it to sleep so that he's laying down. And I don't think there's anything we need under the generation options, so that's good. And the next thing we'll need are the standard controls for setting up a mission giver. So we're going to need a radar marker. We're going to need a text displayer. And we're going to need a dynamic trigger. And we'll do the radar marker first. So we're going to connect this up to our actor, which will be the thing that this friend generator will create. And then under the properties, beacon type I'm going to leave as a blue exclamation point. Again, that's what the playsets seem to use for the side quests. Beacon location will be the connected actor. And we'll make this on by default when we come in the toy box. For the dynamic trigger, we're going to do a new actor connection as well. Connect it to the same friend generator. And for the properties on this, the target, again, will be the connected actor. And the trigger distance, I'm going to set this to be 4. Again, to allow the player to be able to pass by if they so choose. And then for the text displayer, on the properties for that, I'm going to change the duration to 4, text style to proposal. And all players can accept or reject. So now that we've got those configured, we can hook them up. So when the player approaches our mission giver, we'll do a new logic connection when entered by player, any. We'll go ahead and, let's see. Oop, text displayer's over here. Had a senior moment there. And I'm going to come down to the missions drawer. And he's going to say, can I ask you a favor? And then on the text displayer, if the player accepts that mission, then we'll come over to the radar marker and turn that off. And we'll also turn off the dynamic trigger because we don't need that to run any longer either. So that's it for the mission giver, except we need a way to generate them. And so we'll come over here to our level starter. So when we come into the level and the level starter kicks off, we'll come over here and generate our mission giver. And we have to use the friend generator instead of just putting him in directly because, let's see, the guy is all the way at the bottom. We don't want to put him in here directly because we need him to disappear and fade away when we're done. So that's why we're using the friend generator. And of course the little skeleton that we need is all the way at the bottom of the list. And once again I find myself wishing that there were a way to scroll up at the top of the list and wrap around to the bottom. I used to be a UI developer professionally, and so I see little things like that and they kind of bug me because it's so easy to add and makes it so much more usable. And the other thing we should probably do here is on our button here that we're going to use to clear out the generated people, we should go ahead and use that to remove not only our ancestor but this little friend as well. And the remove all option is at the bottom. So there we go. We have our mission giver set up. Next thing we're going to do is set up the goal of the quest that he gives us, which is to fetch a bottle from the tavern. And I don't want that bottle to show up until we're actually in the middle of this quest. And so to put that down, I'm going to use a replayer. So I'm going to set this over here. And to help direct the player over here, we're going to set up a radar marker for it. And we'll need a collectible tracker so that we know when they pick this up. And for the radar marker to attach to something, we'll need a locator. And I'm going to put this right over here. And I don't think it really matters, but I'm going to go ahead and rotate this so that it's facing out this direction. Alright, so we'll go ahead and connect the radar marker first. So we're going to connect it up to this locator. This will help the player find this toy. And I'm using the radar marker, by the way. I can have the collectible tracker show where the collectible is, but it's going to show up as a yellow dot, and I don't want the player to get confused with that, with all of the envelopes they're collecting for the main quest, because the dot's going to show up as a yellow dot. So we're going to use a radar marker instead. And for this radar marker, we'll set this to be a blue arrow, and that will distinguish it from the other collectibles. Beacon location should be the locator, and it'll be inactive by default. And for the collectible tracker, on the properties for that, we're going to leave the show on radar as off. And for the collectible type, we're looking for the potion bottle. Potion bottle. Here we go. Of course, it's at the bottom of the list. And that way, this collectible tracker will only track that one collectible that we're going to put down, and it won't collect or track any of the envelopes we're collecting for the main quest. And for the replayer, I'm going to set the properties on this to put the playback interval at 0. Alright, so we'll come over to our replayer and step on and hit the record button, step off so I can get back in the toy box drawers. And under gameplay toys, we find our potion bottle, and I'm going to drop this right on top of this locator. Just like that. And then we'll step back on the replayer because that's the only thing I want this to put down. And I'll hit B again to stop and A to clear. Okay. So now we can go ahead and hook those up. So we'll come back over here to our text displayer for the mission giver. And we'll do a new logic connection. When the text proposal is accepted, we're going to come over here. And for the replayer, we'll do a playback. And that will put the potion bottle up there. And back to the text displayer on a new logic connection on text proposal accepted. We'll also come over here and activate the radar marker. Just like that. And now one of the problems with the radar marker with the blue arrow and some of the blue side quest things is unless you're close enough, you're not going to see it on your radar in the lower left corner. So when we're over here initially and we accept his quest, we're too far away for that to show up. And so we need to give the player an idea of where they need to go, because the radar marker isn't going to show up until they get across this bridge. And for that, we're going to use a camera. And I'm going to set up a target camera up here that we can use to point the player to that bottle and show them where it is. And I'm going to set this right about here. I want to make sure I've got a clear line of sight towards that locator over there. And we want to have it back far enough that we can see where it's pointing. And so this will be back far enough it'll be able to see the arches here and the tables. And after the players run through here a couple of times, hopefully they'll remember that the central area here is where they saw it, and it gets them moving in this direction. So for the target camera, we're going to come down to the properties. And the start transition of cut is good. I'm going to use a defined duration, and I'm going to set this to 3. 3 seconds should be long enough. Follow and cut are fine. For the player viewport, I'm going to set this to be all players. So if there's multiple players, they'll all see this. Glow is on. Camera target should be the connected locator that we're going to connect up in a moment, because I want them pointing over there to that locator and not in the direction the camera is currently facing. We'll leave this set as on, that set as 20, and these at 0. So the rest of those properties are good. So we'll connect this up to the same locator over here that we're using for the radar marker. That'll be the target for the camera. So the camera will look that direction, not that direction. And that'll be good. So then we'll come back over to our mission giver. And in addition to putting down the collectible and turning on the radar over there, the radar marker, we'll have it also on text proposal accepted. We'll come over here and turn on this camera. And activate. And because under the properties, we're using the defined duration of 3 seconds, this camera will run for 3 seconds and then automatically turn itself off. And we'll go back to the default camera, which will be over by the player over there. So now we've got the collectible, and when we come over here and pick it up, then we need to guide the player back over here to our mission giver. And since we've already got this radar marker and this dynamic trigger already hooked up and doing things, I want to make sure we don't interfere with those. So I'm going to put down another set of these. So we'll come back over here to our radar marker. And another text displayer. And another dynamic trigger. And just like the other ones over here, we're going to connect these up to our friend generator as our actor. And for the radar marker properties, this time we're going to use a beacon type of a blue arrow because we're pointing toward the player. And the beacon location should be the connected actor. And this will be off by default. And on the dynamic trigger, again, the target should be the connected actor. Trigger distance we'll set to 4. And on the text displayer, text duration will be 4, and this time it's not a proposal we're accepting, so we'll use a banner for the type. That way the text that it puts up will be hard to miss. Okay, so those are hooked up. So once the player picks up the bottle, then we need to direct them over there, and that's governed by our collectible tracker. So on the collectible tracker, we'll do a new logic connection when the final collectible is collected. We'll come over here and turn on this new radar marker. And a new logic connection when the final collectible is collected. We'll turn on the dynamic trigger. And I initially need this dynamic trigger to be off. So we want to turn this on. And this will need to be off so that it doesn't interfere with this one, because both of these will be competing for that same radius around the townsperson up there. So we're going to come over here to our level starter. And we'll make sure that second dynamic trigger, the one that we just put down for the end of the quest, is turned off when we first come into the toy box. And then that won't get turned on until the collectible tracker turns it on. And then when the player gets here, on this new dynamic trigger, we'll do a new logic connection when entered by player any. We'll come to our text displayer, and we'll go down to the missions category. And this time he's going to say, "Thank you, good soul, for retrieving my bottle." And we will also need to turn off. So entered by player any. We'll turn off the radar marker. And then the last thing we need to do is make the townsperson fade away. And I don't want him to do that immediately while the text is still up. So we're going to come over to the time delayer. I'm going to put down a time delayer here. And I've got the text displayer set to 4 seconds. So for the time delayer, we're going to set this to 5. That way the text will have time to disappear. And so on the dynamic trigger, In addition to turning off the radar marker and displaying that text, we'll do a new logic connection when entered by player any. We'll come over here and start the delay. And then on the time delayer, a new logic connection when the delay is completed. Come over to the friend generator and remove the character. Just like that. And one other thing we should probably do is on the text displayer, we'll do a new logic connection. When any text is displayed, we'll go ahead and turn this dynamic trigger back off so that that text doesn't keep being displayed every time we walk over here. And I forgot that on my diagram. I'm just making a quick note. Okay, and I think that's everything. So we can come back over here now and test this out. So the level starter is hooked up to everything. So that's good. And I'm going to go ahead and save my game real quick before I test this. So I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, I've saved my game. Now we'll go ahead and try this out. So we press the button. That should generate our mission giver. And also, I see the blue exclamation point on the screen, so that's good. So we'll run over here. Where'd it put me? Okay. Well, we'll just ride the rail down. And there's the radar marker. Oh my goodness, he's not here. Where did he go? He should have been right there. Oh, he's laying down there. Okay. Because we forgot to hook up to that locator. That's why. Okay, well that's easy enough to fix. So we'll come back over here. And I'm going to hit this button to take him back out. And then we'll hit this one to reinitialize. And now he should be where that locator is. Felt like I was forgetting something, but I couldn't figure out what it might have been. Now I know. That looks better. Oh, it stuck me up here again. Okay. Now we get to ride the rail twice. Okay, there he is. He's laying down. He doesn't look so good. So we come up to him and he says, "Can I ask you a favor?" And we'll say continue. And now the camera is showing the bottle. And we go, okay, we got to go back over there and pick that up. I love the way Randy walks. They did such a great job with these characters, capturing their different personalities and different ways that they move, and I don't know, it's really great. Okay, so we picked that up, and oh, that radar didn't go off, so that's something we need to do. So that collectible tracker should have turned that radar marker off. Okay, so coming back over here to this guy, he says, "Thank you, good soul." And the text vanishes, and then so does he. Okay, so to fix that radar marker, that's pretty easy. We just need one logic connection. So on the collectible tracker, new logic connection. When the final collectible is collected, just come right next door and deactivate that radar marker. So there we go. I like that. I think this side quest turned out pretty well. Next time I'm going to put the finishing touches on this toy box and wrap it up. And then next week I'm going to start a brand new series with a brand new toy box that I think you're going to like. Meanwhile, remember to sign up on my blog or subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already done that, so you won't miss the final episode in this series. As a reminder, you can find floor plans and logic diagrams on my blog that will help you build this toy box on your own console or PC if you want to do that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.